So welcome to Social Media News Live for the pre-show. We are so excited to have you here with us. Have one of my favorite people in the world with me, myself. No, Lisa Meredith is here with us, and Grace Duffy. So we are so excited to have you guys here with us. By the way, if you've happened to missed last week's show, we had Rob Balasabas there, and he actually, over on our friend's channel over at Agora Pulse Social Media Manager School this week, he did a whole webinar about YouTube best practices for business. He taught and shared about his insights with TubeBuddy, how to set up your channel for success, how the YouTube fits in your funnel, how to monetize your channel without using AdSense. And so if you guys want to go check that out, I'm sure Rob would be super appreciative, and so would Eric, who help co-host it. So make sure you go to socialmediamanagerschool.com. Check that out. Rob was on the show last week. If you were there, he dropped tons of great information. So you want to make sure you guys go check out this free webinar over at Social Media Manager School. And we are so excited for today's show. I'm going to go ahead and, by the way, wanted to tell you guys, Grace is here with me now. This is the second week she's been back with me, so I'm so excited to have her. And Grace has some things to share as well while I get set up here.
Yeah, well, it's been really exciting to watch the show from behind the scenes, eager to be on it. So I was really ecstatic to be co-hosting again with my friend Jeff, and to be able to host great guests like Elisa Meredith, who we have here today. And if you have found value in our guests, if you have found value in our show, if you think Jeff is particularly funny,
funny looking, tell
your friends, tell other people that might be interested in joining us. Share the love across your social media platforms. And we are broadcasting live here today for you, so that you can ask the questions that matter most to you and to your business. So if you have any questions about Pinterest for business, video, how to leverage video on Pinterest, drop that down below in the comments, and we will get them answered for you. So thank you for joining us.
Awesome. So we are going to hit play. I got some friends already in the audience saying woohoo. I echo your woohoo. And she's excited to learn new things. So good morning to you. I'm not sure who the Facebook user is, but we'll say good morning to you as well. So I'm going to hit go on the old podcasting machine. We will get started. And here we go. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not. And this is the show where we keep you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media. On today's show, we have with us Elisa Meredith, and we're going to be talking about Pinterest's new marketing tools and products and what could be ahead on the product roadmap. By the way, this show is brought to you by my friends over at Ecamm. If you are on a Mac, you need to check out Ecamm for your live streaming needs. You can have animated backgrounds. You could bring up cool user comments like I did it before the show started, lower thirds. If you can dream it, Ecamm can make it happen. So make sure to check them out at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. That's socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. That's ECAMM. Now, before we introduce our fabulous guest, let me introduce the amazing Grace Duffy. Grace, tell us a little about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. Thank you so much. I'm Grace Duffy, and when I am not producing and co-hosting the show with Jeff, I am the virtual events manager at Restream. So in addition to the Ecamm, we are also going live to multiple online destinations with the power of Restream. It's a browser-based live streaming platform that lets you go to up to 30 online destinations. So people always ask us, how are you doing this? How are you getting it everywhere? How are you on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon Live, right? So that's how we do it. We use Restream. It's everything you need to be successful right in your browser. So you can find out more about that from socialmedianewslive.com/Restream, socialmedianewslive.com/Restream, RESTREAM.
Awesome. So I want to introduce our awesome guest today. We have Elisa Meredith with us. If you don't know Elisa, she is a Pinterest product specialist and marketing manager at Tailwind. She's a well-known speaker and expert on Pinterest marketing and Pinterest ads. She's run a digital agency since 2005, which now primarily focuses on Pinterest ads. She's also my partner in crime on Tailwind's Marketing Unleashed show. Elisa, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jeff and Grace.
Yes, this is going to be fun. So it's fun that I get to interview you today. So first of all, for people who do not know what Tailwind is, what is it and what do you do there?
Tailwind helps you create and schedule content. So on Pinterest and Instagram. And what I do there is help to develop, especially Tailwind Create, which is a product that allows you to create beautiful pin images in no time at all, and then schedule them right out, as well as making sure everyone learns about that product. So I get to do all the fun stuff.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
So tell me
we
about
have an
this
extra
show.
Guest. So
now who is this? What's this one's name?
This is Snowy. She's the squirrel chaser. So we'll see.
That's right. One time we were doing a show, Grace, in the middle of the show. You see the window behind Elisa. It was open, and that cat just went and jumped and stuck on it after a squirrel, and it was so. My daughter still talks about that to this day. So anyway, important fact.
That is an important fact. But tell me about this show that you have with Jeff. Like, what kind of things do you cover, and where can we find it?
You can find it on Tailwind's Facebook page, and it goes live on YouTube and on LinkedIn and on Periscope. I had no idea there were 30 different places you could go live, Grace, until you said that. So I don't know, maybe we should go live in more places, but we're basically everywhere, and it's every other Thursday at 2 Eastern. And right now we are mostly talking about Pinterest.
Yeah.
It's great fun, though. The audience over there is very engaged, and they help each other out in the comments. It is kind of the most fun I have.
Yeah, in fact, we have a lot of those people because we are broadcasting onto that channel as well. So hello, all the faithful Tailwind watchers. We appreciate you guys watching today. So, Grace, let's break down this first piece of news that we have for our show today. This new tool, these new tools that Pinterest is talking about.
Yeah, so Pinterest hosted a marketing and advertising summit last Wednesday. I believe it was August 3rd. So like the rest of us, it was a virtual event. And it was the first time Pinterest has ever done this, apparently. So they gave attendees an exclusive look at several new ad products and ad tools and marketing products. And the first of this is called Pinterest Premiere. It's a new video ad solution that apparently enables advertisers to engage with their audience and scale thanks to an exclusive video placement. Elisa, tell us, where can we spot these placements, and what makes these particular ad placements stand out as opposed to all of the other Pinterest ad placements that they currently offer?
Yeah, so, I will have to say that the information you can find on this in the press releases and such is not very comprehensive. So I fortunately have a Pinterest ad rep and messaged her and said, can you tell me more, please? So I got the whole rundown for you, Grace. I got it.
Cool.
So yeah, with Pinterest Premiere, they're going to be shown in the home feed, and it's an exclusive placement. So that means you're not going to be competing with other video ads there, which of course means it's going to cost a lot more. So I don't have details on the cost, but it is going to be, it's going to depend on your package and the target audience. So the different packages are based on duration. So you could have a 1 day, or you could have a 2 week, or a 4 week engagement. The 1 day is like, you're the only thing they're going to see basically in the home feed. There'll be other pins, but you get major exposure on that 1 day. And the 2 and 4 week, you get 30% share of that particular category and demographic. So the big advantage I see is that when you run a Pinterest ad, it can take a little time to kind of ramp up and really start to work. So I have tried ads for very short-term promotions, and they just don't work. They have not worked for me. Even with, there's an option called accelerated spending that will like try to get it out for you more, but it just didn't work for me. So having this kind of dedicated, like, this is my day, I want everyone to see this video on this 1 day, could be really, really valuable. It's not something you can do through the self-service dashboard, though. It's going to be fully managed via Pinterest. So you want to plan far ahead and work with a Pinterest ad rep. So we do have, I do have a link you can use to get your own Pinterest ad rep, and that is a Bitly link. It's a Bitly link we used in our show last week, Jeff. I think it's Pinterest ad expert. Pinterest ad expert should
Right.
take you to a form where you can get on an ad rep assigned to you. But what I think is really interesting is what they're telling us to do, like how to build the video, is telling for what should work in other video ad placements, which is preferred length is 15 seconds, but you can go up to 30.
Well,
so
what
what
does
is that telling us?
That's a big
Like,
barrier there.
yeah, I mean, in regular video ads, you can go longer, but I think this is really clearly telling us that the short ads are going to work more. Like if you're going to spend that much money, you ought to go with these recommendations and probably keep it 15 seconds. 240 PPI resolution, under 2 gigabytes in size. You can do square. You can do like the max width, which is going to be even more money, or you can do the standard. And then the reporting is going to be provided by Pinterest as well. So it's something you can't do like on a whim. You're going to have to plan it out, but it seems like it could be really powerful.
Interesting. So the things that I heard you say in that is, number one, plan ahead, because you can't just go and, set up an ad by yourself. And two, you have to have a Pinterest ad rep and work with, send them the creatives. They're going to help set up the campaign, all that sort of stuff. So that's really interesting. And there's some more news that Social Media Today, in its reporting, it notes that Pinterest Premier comes with a hefty price tag. So, you talked about there's that certain ad that you can do with video ads where it's the full width. Those are pricey. Do you have any idea what these new ad placements will cost? And do you think they'll be worth the cost, in your opinion?
I do not know. Even my ad rep doesn't have, there's no real answer because it is based on what you choose, whether it's 1 day, 2 week, 4 week, and what your, your target audience is. So, and I imagine too, like these spots are going to sell out. So another reason to plan ahead. But do I think it could be worth it? Yeah, I do. Especially like if you're a Crate and Barrel or something and you have like this 1 day sale, absolutely, I would go for it. If you're me or someone without a massive business, maybe not. But you never know. I suggest getting an ad rep and talking about what your options are. They can be really helpful.
And by the way, that which you mentioned, that we'll put that link down below in the comment section of all the places we're at, because you can get that a free consult with a ad rep. What is it, a 30-minute call with them, and with that link that you
something like that.
Can you say that link one more time for the podcast?
It's bit.ly/Pinterest ad expert.
Okay, so Pinterest ad expert, bit.ly/Pinterest ad expert, and that way you can go ahead.
Well, and I just want to say, like, as far as video goes, at Tailwind, we are experimenting a bit more with video, and we are finding that they are tremendously impactful, have really high click-through rate. And Pinterest is saying in these releases about Premiere that video ads have a 3x higher view rate than other social platforms. So it really can be very effective. I think because there's less video on Pinterest and other places too, it's probably more effective. And they influence what people buy, right? So people who so they actually do things, right? So they're discovering new ideas, learning new skills, they're taking action. And that's something that we learned in a recent data study at Tailwind too, like looking at the pins that went out in January 2021 that got more than 5,000 saves on the platform in that month alone. We found that 30% of the ones we've analyzed so far were video pins. So video pins are doing amazingly well. And we noticed a lot of repurposed TikTok videos. They're almost all like how-to, step-by-step, like really walking somebody through how to do something.
So, Elisa, we have two questions in the comments. So one of them is from Lydia Bruno, and she says, going back to the price of these Premiere ad placements, will there be an intro price?
I have not seen anything about that. I kind of doubt it because they are so exclusive. It's probably going to be real pricey. We're probably talking like Lexus car manufacturer pricey, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one is a Kenneth who is, says hello to Jeff, by the way. He says he does military, veterans, and college sports and business. That's his audience. Is that a fit for Pinterest? He is of the impression that Pinterest is about shopping and retail. And, so I think that's a general impression that a lot of people have. And we'll get more into that, the changing demographics later, but that's more of a general question. So what are your thoughts on that, Elisa?
So I think anytime you can present your idea, your service, or your solution in a way that inspires people and helps them believe that they can have a better life or be a better version of themselves, that belongs on Pinterest. So yeah, there's shopping, there's retail, but there's a lot of how do I learn how to do this, or how can I get better at this, or how can I plan for this? So there are very few industries that I think aren't going to do well on Pinterest.
Yeah, I agree. So, and also, we're going to talk about the demographics. So hang in there, Kenneth, because we're going to talk about that in a little bit later section of the show. But Grace, you had another really, before we kind of go to the next section, I want to let you have a chance to tell that for that other thing from social media today, that kind of data that they had reported.
Oh yeah. So as I was digging through all the research for this segment, Social Media Today reported that video content saw a big rise among pinners in 2020. Not surprising, video in general saw a huge rise in 2020, of course, but they are now facilitating close to 1 billion video views a day. And I don't want to sleep on this, 1 billion video views a day. Wow. Within their own research, they said that Pinterest users are 2.6 times more likely to make a purchase after viewing branded content on the platform, which is, again, not surprising because people do tend to go to Pinterest when they're looking for a specific solution thing. So there is a strong case that making a video investment into Pinterest, this is the best time to do it. And Pinterest is a key platform for focusing your digital marketing efforts. So tell us more about the other opportunities to upload and leverage video on Pinterest. I know that you've got lots to say about this because we got into it in the pre-show.
Yeah. So you can absolutely create videos that you don't have to promote, and they can do really well. So at Tailwind, we're trying that with Wave.video, which we talked about on the Tailwind show a few weeks ago. It's really easy to make videos. They're very engaging, and they're doing really well even when they're not promoted. The click-through rate is good, and which also can bring your ad costs down. And we are finding we can get impressions and clicks at a really low cost on those. So we're kind of using them to promote key features or blog posts we really want to get people to. And like I said, like those videos that we're seeing get a lot of shares are videos that actually teach something. It's not just like an automated or an element that kind of flies through and catches attention. It's really, there's some substance there that requires a video. So that's what we're finding.
Interesting.
Sophia in Switzerland has a question. She says, I live in Switzerland, and I'm not sure if it's a European thing, but the videos don't click through on the site, but to the profile. So you would go to their Pinterest profile. I don't think this is the case in the US, but is there a reason why this might be happening in Europe?
So let's talk about this, because I think there's a confusion of, we're talking about video promoted pins, and then we're talking about regular pins. And then also stories, those are the kind of the three different places video shows up now on Pinterest. So can you kind of break those down for us, Elisa?
Yeah, so with video promoted pins, people getting to your site is super easy, right? Because that's what you're paying for. With non-promoted, what you're going to see is like I'm looking on mobile, and you have to hit the 3 little dots to the right of the save button in order to get to visit site. So that's a little barrier to people clicking on your site. You can include instructions on that in your description. So say click there, or on desktop, it will have your website link above your profile information, but it is a little bit harder to spot if you're new to Pinterest. So that's your promoted, super easy to get to your site. Organic, a little bit harder. with story pins, a lot of times, and Pinterest recommends that you have your first frame be a video. So it might kind of look the same on your phone or on your desktop, but there's a video first, and there isn't a link there, and that one will only go to your profile.
Awesome. So the second update I want to talk about real quick from Pinterest Presents, and we have some questions we'll bring up after this. Pinterest announced that its interactive Pinterest Trends and Conversion Insights tool now will offer more specific and actionable insights into engagement behaviors across the platform. So what is this Trends tool, and where are the updates to it? Because I know you and I have talked a lot about the Trends tool on our show before. So is this like the Trends tool on steroids? What is this that we're talking about?
So I do not have the new version. I think it's just coming up soon. So right now, trends.pinterest.com will show you for the US, the UK, and Canada which topics are trending right now in search. It is amazingly powerful. You can get great insights on what you should be posting about and when. You can look at yearly trends. It's just a really great tool. But what it sounds like they're planning to do is to work in ways that you can kind of filter by your own audience. So we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but the makeup, especially the age of the average pinner, is changing, getting much younger. So if you look at the pinterestpredicts.com, that's where Pinterest is saying, okay, these things are not trending yet, but they're going to trend. They have given you an option to be able to filter those by generation. So you can do Gen Z, you can do millennials, Gen X, and boomers. So what I heard, I think, is that you're going to be able to do something similar with trends. So if you know your audience is 18 to 24, you can look at that Gen Z range and see specifically what they are looking for.
Awesome. So that is going to be a very, very cool tool.
Very cool.
I think that's going to be awesome to do. So we do have some questions that I want to bring up. And I know you and I have talked about this before. And there it is. So Theodora says, can I upload my TikTok videos to Pinterest? If yes, how can I, please? So we've talked about this a lot. There's a lot of TikTok videos on Pinterest. And the interesting thing is we've broken in the show before. We've talked about the news where, Instagram says they're going to start de-emphasizing them, and some of the other networks are saying, hey, if we see that logo, we're going to kind of push it down the reach. Pinterest hasn't said anything like that, and I think they like having TikTok videos on there. That's my personal opinion, but what are your thoughts, Elisa?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that users like it, and that's typically, what Pinterest is concerned about, is making a good experience on the platform. So like I said, when we looked at those pins that had 5,000 or more saves in January 2021, and they were created in January 2021, 30% of those were video, and a great number of those were actually TikTok videos. So I think they can work. I don't think like the dance challenge videos are going to work, but if you have a how-to, we saw a lot of exercise kind of how-tos. We saw a lot of craft videos. So if that's what you're already creating, absolutely like download it from TikTok when you create it, and then just upload it to Pinterest or schedule it via Tailwind, and it can really work.
Awesome. So another question, and I want to cover this because we get this question all the time, and I want to talk about this because we mentioned Tailwind at the beginning of the show, which is your company you work for, and this is a question I know a lot of people have this. I heard that Pinterest doesn't like any more rotation of pins like Tailwind does. Is that true, or should we change settings so Tailwind doesn't do this? So talk about this, because number one, I wanted to just kind of, and yes, I do their show, but I'm not employed by the company. So like I was, what is that? The Hair Club for Men. I was a member before I was the president. So they work, they're official partners with Pinterest. They have to go through all these hoops and jump through all this stuff to be able to be an official partner. And so if it did not work, if it was like hurting the end users, it would not be a good thing, and they would not their partner to do that. So that being said, what is your answer, Lisa, to this? Because I know you get this a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And that is absolutely true. But we know things are changing. Tailwind is a tool. We try to guide you to best practices, but ultimately it's your choice as to how you use it. But we can say that when we looked at the pins that went out via Tailwind in January 2021, that new pin create, or that first time a pin went out, received 3 times as many repins as sending out your pin again. So that tells us that there's a lot more value that very first time that you share a pin. Does that mean that there's no value that second or third time you share your pin? No. It just means that there's more that very first time, which is why kind of, Tailwind Create is pretty amazing. So it's a way to create really beautiful pins in very little time. And we found that when you share out a pin made with Tailwind Create, you can get 373%, just not a round number,
That's amazing.
more saves when you share a Tailwind Create image than if you're just resharing old images. So I've been trying this at Tailwind, and Jeff works with us on our organic Pinterest as well, and he's making some too. And even though we have these amazing designers whose celebrity name is Christine, at Tailwind, the Tailwind Create pins that we're sending out are doing so much better than our beautiful professional branded pins that it's kind of embarrassing. And it's not because they're objectively better. I think it's because they're different.
Right.
And having that variety out there gets you more opportunity to reach a different kind of person. We're also testing out putting different headlines on pins for the same article. So one article may have many different topics in it, and it may have something that would appeal to one audience and show up in one search that wouldn't work for somebody else. So trying to get more out of your content and help people find what you have to offer a little bit more is kind of where Create really shines. Tailwind Create shines.
Awesome. And by the way, I want to let you guys know that there has been and Pinterest has even gone out of its way to say that using a third-party tool like Tailwind that's an official partner has no issue or no,
makes no difference.
Makes no difference. It doesn't hurt reach. And in fact, if you guys would like to, check out Tailwind, you can always go to socialmedianewslive.com/Tailwind and check it out. So it's an amazing tool. I've been using it for years since I started Pinterest, and I love it. And I see a lot of you in the comments do as well. So
that's exciting. So we have a question from Alex about what qualifies as a video, going back to our topic on video. He says, when you only animate the text of a pin, is that considered a video on in the Pinterest algorithm? And how do they know the difference between you're just animating the text versus an actual video that you produced and created and edited and put on there as a video? Does it make a difference?
Yeah. So a video is a video, right? So if you're uploading an MP4 or an MOV, that's a video file. But I think the more important question is what kind of videos work? So is it that one where you just have the text floating in? Does that work as well as actually taking the time to create something that teaches somebody something? No. It might get a little bit more attention in the feed because it's moving, if your video happens to be the one that's animated at that time, but it's not going to do as well as something that is actually the video part of it adds value that you couldn't get from just regular text, which is not the case with just fly-in text.
Awesome.
Yeah. Flying toasters.
Yeah.
Oh, we're showing our age if you remember that screensaver, folks. So Irene asked this question: do we need to pin directly to Pinterest before we schedule the pin through Tailwind? So that's a good question for somebody who may not be familiar with it.
Nope, absolutely not.
Very cool. So last question. So Sally, who I love Sally Howe, so I got to bring it up because she's a friend of ours. She says, and she does amazing jewelry. If you want to check out her, she's from the UK. So, but she asked a question: can you talk about repinning pins, please? When you create a pin it's a fresh pin, how long should you leave before pinning to other boards? How many times can an image be pinned? Or are we just better just creating new pins? So this has been things, I know a lot of people are watching in different Pinterest groups. A lot of stuff has been going on about how much is a repin, when it's a pin, all that stuff. So can you answer that really briefly?
Yes, I think so. So she is right about the definition of repinning, or Pinterest now calls that a save. So a repin is now a save. You can repin, but ultimately, the last part of that question, are you better off just creating a new image? Yeah, you are. Especially if we're thinking about pinning to different boards, you could just save that same pin to a different board to give it a little bit more context. but you do want to leave some time in between. So I don't know, maybe a week or 2 weeks, depending on what you're pinning in between, might be okay. I don't have any magic numbers for you, and this is just kind of what I do. But yes, like you will get some saves on that second or third time that you share to a different board, but you will almost always get more if you create a new image. So if you're saving to your social media board first, and then you're sharing to your Instagram board second, you'll do a lot better if you create a new image that really focuses on the Instagram part of that content and uses that keyword throughout.
Awesome. Alrighty. So great. You guys are asking some great questions. We really appreciate all that you're doing for us, and we'll try to get to more of those later on in the show. But we do have some great, we've been teasing it. We have some demographic stuff. So Grace is going to share that with us.
This is an insight directly from the Pinterest news site, and it's about its marketing. And again, at this marketing and advertising summit that they did last week, they revealed that usage among Gen Z and male pinners has increased by 40% this past year. I can attest to that personally. My children and my husband both discovered Pinterest this year, even though I've been talking about it for years, and they absolutely love it. Right. So, that's how they talk. They're like, did you see my pin board? It's on the pin board. Okay, settle down. Right. So Elisa, can you give us some insights into the changing demographic of Pinterest and how we might have seen the content shifting in order to incorporate more of these, this bigger audience and this expansive audience?
Yes, but first I want to ask you, what are your husband and children saving?
Oh, my daughter wants to redo her room because she's at that age where her room is not cool and anything I suggest is not cool. And so she's been pinning that, and I don't know what my husband pins. Like
I don't know. Listen to me for all those years. I'm not looking at your pin board.
I don't want to look at your board. And my son is really into like engineering and technology and all sorts of like and so he likes a lot of like those hacky videos or whatever, hacky pins and stuff. So that's what they're pinning.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay. So I noticed this several months back when I was creating a webinar for which I needed a screen of audience insights. I wanted to show like who's on Pinterest, and the shift in the age groups from, like 30 somethings and up to that 18 to 24 and 24 to whatever the next one is. It was like it totally flip-flopped. And I thought, can this be right? It just did not seem right to me. So I was really, really glad to hear Pinterest say that in their event that, Gen Z male pinners have increased 40% in the last year. That's like life-changing for a platform to have that happen. Yeah. So what I've noticed in looking at that Pinterest Predicts page that we talked about, and it's just pinterestpredicts.com, and filtering it by that youngest group, so the Gen Z that they have on there, looking at what are they looking for. They're looking for things like digital decor, which is like phone and laptop like skins and wallpapers and all that stuff. They're looking for DIY personalized fashion. They're looking for like bright, vibey colors. I'm noticing like the early 90s fluorescent thing coming back. There's a lot about like makeup and planning celebrations. So that is kind of what that group is looking for, which is really interesting that you can kind of filter by what people want.
Well, and I should also note that my children, after listening to me talk about social media and social media marketing and all this for so many years, they've largely shunned all other social media. So they use Pinterest as a way to get ideas and bypass some of the other stuff. So that's how they've been. I think that's kind of like their thought process behind using it and not listening to me for all those years, but whatever. Not personal.
That's a bonus though. That's just a bonus, Grace. But I think the reason a lot of people love Pinterest is because it isn't very social at this point, right? It's a place you can just go and be yourself and kind of plan for yourself rather than having to project an image or comparing yourself to someone else. There's like no fighting, no politics, no fake news. It's a happy place, and I'm glad that more people are finding it.
So can we circle? Go ahead. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I really hope my husband's pinning stuff for the house reno I want. So let's hope he's pinning that. So
I'm sure that's it.
So can we talk a little bit about the 40% mail? Because I started Manly Pinterest Tips way back in the day. That's what I started with, and so but they've always been saying like it's the fastest growing demographic ever since I've been on, and so what's the, I mean, because it grows every year. I remember when I would use the stat, like there's more subscribers to Pinterest than there are GQ and Sports Illustrated, and all this stuff. And now it's like the 40% of, what is it, Gen Z? Or is it just, it just says male pinners is 40%. So it's like going up every year. So when is it going to stop being so important? I mean, is it because it still has that stigma of being just for the ladies, or that kind of thing. So, and it's mostly the US. In the European countries, there's not that big thing. So why do you think they keep highlighting this stat?
I think it's partially about the content. Like Grace was saying, her son likes to see like hacks, like electronic stuff. And I'm not really sure, like looking at the gender distribution on Pinterest right now, it's still 70% female. That's what they're reporting. Mm-hmm. So it's growing, but I mean, if you have a platform that's that lopsided, that I think that they want more people to discover it, right?
Yeah.
We want more people to discover it. There's a lot there for everybody.
And the thing is, there's tons of male Pinterest content on there. I mean, I've never had a struggle like I can't find what I'm looking for. I mean, like the men's fashion thing, or the people,
and there's a ton on there for men. Yeah,
and the men like shops, and I mean the e-commerce side of Pinterest is huge over there. So there's a huge opportunity for people. So anyway,
and I think we know, like generally speaking, moms especially have a lot of the buying power, but it doesn't mean that guys aren't also shopping.
Yeah, we have to ask first, but we still, can I have the credit card? Yeah. So let's go for this last update. So the last update, Pinterest is rolling out its conversion insights more broadly. Yeah. So it's enabling advertisers to view both promoted and organic pin metrics in a single report. So can you tell us what type of data is now available, and why does this matter for, like, who cares? Why is this important?
Why this matters. I love this. Okay, so Pinterest analytics are incredible. They give you tremendous insight into what is working and why. But if you are advertising on Pinterest, if you had just one report that's all of your content, that would be very hard to deal with, because you need to separate it out. What am I paying for versus what am I earning? So now you can separate it out. And I love this. They've also changed the way that they're defining certain metrics, so that if you're advertising and you're looking at, okay, I'm paying for outbound pin and clicks. Now you go over to your analytics, you're going to see outbound pin and clicks means the same for organic as it does for paid. And it's just a really easy way to compare, like, what are my efforts getting me? And it is just, it's really powerful. If you haven't been in there, take a few minutes and poke around. Now, by default, you're going to see the impact of your content by default. So you're only going to see impressions, outbound clicks, pin clicks on content that comes from your site. Now, that might be pinned by somebody else or saved by somebody else, but it's only for like your content, which is what matters. So it could be your website content, your Etsy, your Instagram, your YouTube content, but it's all yours. You can still see that other stuff. So if I'm pinning some of Jeff's content, I might want to see, like, how is that going? I can see that, but by default, it's really about you and your content, which is what really matters.
Awesome. So I want to bring up some comments from people, because we were talking about, like, Grace shared how she was using Pinterest and how her family was. So our friend Sally says, yes, it's a place for escapism and planning and dreaming. And yes. Let's see. So I am Jason says, I go for hacks, outdoor, and cars. See, there's all sorts of men stuff on Pinterest.
Guys figuring it out.
Sophia goes, my 17-year-old also pins bedroom inspiration fashion. So Grace, you're not alone in that. So other kids are. I know my daughter uses it all the time too. So
Yeah, I mean that's how they. And my son's also a Boy Scout, and so he will pin
Knives.
like outdoor stuff, like survival stuff, knives. Yeah, I had to tell him like, please don't pin knives at school. I don't need any more emails.
There's amazing how to survive the zombie apocalypse account. That's really, really good. It has all that stuff.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah. So
yeah, and I think we kind of have to mention too the impact of the pandemic on these shifts, right? So, all of us really are looking to make our home a nicer place to be because we're here so much, or we might have a little bit extra time, I guess, depending on who you are, to learn a new hobby or try something that we haven't had time to do before. So that all of that is bringing interest to a platform that empowers people to do that, which I think is fantastic. And I'm glad, like, if it's breaking down some of that stigma that Pinterest is for women, awesome. Like, there's something on there for everybody.
Yeah, totally agree. So, Grace, let's talk about this new little feature that Pinterest is launching.
Well, yeah, it was in early February, actually. Pinterest launched this new iOS widget called Interests, and it highlights new pins that users have chosen. They've chosen a certain topic focus, and so it highlights pins within those topics, and they include things like beauty, home decor, food, men and women's fashions, and quotes. So I suppose inspirational quotes. As Pinterest explained, this new widget on iOS, Interests, is where pinners can choose their top interests and get fresh content served to them daily right on their home screen. So I am an iOS user. I don't know. I don't have access to this. So I was wondering if people are iOS users still super excited about widgets. Are you excited about this, Elisa?
I mean, the only widgets I have on my phone came on my phone, so it's not really something on my radar. So when you shared this with me, I was like, oh yeah, I heard something about that, but I really didn't pay attention to it. So I went and installed it, and it's huge. It takes up the space of 4.
That's what a widget does. Yeah.
Icons. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was based on a board. Like, that was my only option, was to base it on one of my boards. So I based it on, I think, like acrylic painting or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pulling up some cool stuff. I'm happy to see something pretty on my home screen. Yeah, so it's probably going to get me into Pinterest more.
Yeah.
So is it showcasing you stuff that you've already saved and it's just showing it to you again? Or is it taking inspiration from the things you've saved and showing you things that are similar to it?
Right now, what it's showing me is what I've saved, which I would like to think it would expand out from there and share like more, like obviously you can kind of scroll down and see more like this underneath it, but I would love to see in my widget more like that, like not something I already saved, but something, and maybe it will after time. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really a big widget person, but I'll leave it there for a while and see what happens.
Yeah. So I was gonna talk about this, is that one of the things, Pinterest notes that more than 2 million pinners have added that widget to their home screen, which has helped to keep Pinterest top of mind and increase return visits to the app. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
I think you can get it. So, one of the questions was like, how can we get like our feed? Like, it would be cool if like I could somehow push out and on people's phones, on their widget, my content would show up. But I just don't. One of the things for me, I didn't install it. 1, I don't need to be on Pinterest more. 2, I don't need to be distracted by my phone anymore. I mean, really. And then Lorena says this. She goes, widgets exploded as searches on Pinterest, which is probably why they did it, but it was a short-term trend. People don't care as much anymore. I mean, I know that, like they said, 2 million pinners did it, and Pinterest was a genius because they timed it at the same time this widget, all the rollout happened with the new layout on the iPhone. I don't know if long-term, if it will be a thing or not. So what are your thoughts, Elisa?
I mean, I don't know if I'll keep it or not, because it is like, I can't change it from just a board.
Right.
I don't know. And I don't know. I'm just not a widget person, so I'm probably not the one to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I could see my kids do it. My daughter she has quotes boards and Harry Potter things, and she would love to have that show up on her phone and be different every time. So I can see it for, in fact, the demographics we were just talking about. So that would probably play right into that. And us old fuddy-duddies are like, get off my phone!
That's right.
So
Yes.
Anyway. But something that is not old and something you guys want to make sure you check out. This show is sponsored by Ecamm, and it's also powered by Restream. You know, what goes better together than peanut butter and jelly, bacon and eggs, or even Grace and Jeff on this show? It's Restream and Ecamm, and we're actually producing this show on Ecamm and streaming it everywhere with Restream. So make sure you check both of them out. You can check out Ecamm at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. That's ECAMM. And you can also check out Restream by going to socialmedianewslive.com/Restream. That's what makes this show happen. It's amazing. They're both amazing. So make sure you check them out. So Grace, something kind of cool that Pinterest did. Let's talk about this real quick.
This is really cool. Absolutely. So on Monday, it was International Women's Day. So in support of this, Pinterest launched a shop that exclusively features women-founded small business and features hundreds of products, all designed, all made, all imagined by women. And in addition to this, they also, for the month of March, have created an International Women's Day Fund, which will match donations from employees to nonprofits helping women succeed, such as the National Domestic Workers Alliance and then the Global Fund for Women. So that is something really cool that I wanted to give Pinterest a shout out about. And also part of this announcement, they said in this time of Pinterest also announced that in this type of crisis, women are also turning to Pinterest to find inspiration on how to navigate changes. Searches for women supporting women increased by 2x. Searches for small business plan increased by 50 times. And searches for start a new business from home increased 4 times. And then boards created by women for dream jobs have also increased by 10x as they're looking to find new jobs, start new businesses, shift careers. Obviously, this past year has made all of us have to shift our priorities, shift our ideas. And I think things are opening up as far as possibilities. So we also have a ton of friends in this industry who have been developing and promoting this type of content, the content that helps you grow a business, helps you launch something. I know our friend Ian Anderson Gray has a whole course on how to be confident on live video. So and then we have several other people have created courses, created plans. Is this the time to promote these type of businesses on Pinterest? Maybe if you have a confidence webinar or a business course, does it make sense to be using Pinterest to do this? And how do you do that?
Yeah,
that's a lot of questions.
Absolutely.
A lot of questions.
You are lots of questions. So yeah, it makes sense. I'm so happy to see this particular report because very often the numbers that you see focus on like what you think of as core Pinterest-y topics like fashion and home decor and all kinds of seasonal events. But to see this kind of data is really helpful. So yeah, if you are a content creator, a blogger, a course creator, this is your time. And look at those search terms and choose the ones that you want to go after that make sense for your content. But absolutely, the need is out there, the desire is out there, and people are really looking for something different, something inspiring that they haven't seen before. So if you're not doing it, do it.
Awesome. So I wanted to bring up this comment that Grace just shot to me in the comments here. It's from Sean Brown, and it's kind of applicable to this. He goes, what is the best way for education consultants to connect with the Pinterest community? I want to sell, but I don't want to come off as a salesman. And so we just talked about, doing the search and maybe putting your webinar or whatever out there. So how do you do that without being like salesy on Pinterest?
I think it's fine to be salesy on Pinterest. I mean, there are lots of products that you can buy or save to buy later on Pinterest. So I think you might want to just think of it as taking a couple different approaches. So yeah, make your product available. When it comes to your content, always, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on, always think about your audience and what they need. What problem are you solving for them? Where are they going to be after they get your amazing product or service? And really highlight that in your content. And I don't know, you can be too salesy, but people do use Pinterest to buy things. So don't be shy about that.
Those are great points. And speaking of selling, there's some new things in our next section. We're going to be talking about shopping on Pinterest. So this is kind of what's to come. At the Pinterest Partner and Advertiser Summit event, they mentioned a third priority for 2021, and that was bringing more shopping to Pinterest. So according to John Kaplan, Pinterest Global Head of Sales, he said, we have a vision for a better, more fun online shopping experience, and we're just getting started. This year, we'll see even a better shopping experience on Pinterest for both merchants and pinners. In 2021, expect Pinterest to introduce new shopping surface areas on its platform and keep investing in catalog management tools, automated bidding, and budgeting solutions. And so they're also supposed to be rolling out better analytics, an enhanced conversion analysis dashboard for managed advertisers to get kind of a sense of Pinterest cross-channel impact on conversions. So right now, users can't really make purchases directly on Pinterest like Facebook is doing, or Facebook and Instagram shops. Do you think that shopping directly on Pinterest is something that's coming later for Pinterest, on the horizon?
I don't know. All I can say is what they've said, which is what they're investing in are shopping surface areas, right, which does not require direct buy, right? It just requires surfacing shoppable products. And they're spending time and money working on catalog management tools, automatic bidding, budgeting solutions. They're building in the analytics. For example, the Shopify integration, that's something that you can set up inside of your Pinterest account. So what it sounds like is they are making it so whatever, like the platform that you're on, as far as your store goes, will integrate with Pinterest and their shopping surfaces. Another example would be product tagging on pins. To me, that's a way to make shopping more interesting and more engaging, is when you see a room and then you see the dots on it where you can go and buy the individual products. Like that's what we can see for ourselves they're building. Whether they're going to go back to something like a buyable pin, which they did for a while, or not, I don't know, but we can kind of see where they're headed right now.
Yeah. So, you and I have talked a lot about this online, and we're seeing, Pinterest, I think, looks a lot at Instagram to see how, what they're doing shopping wise. And, I think video came after they saw some of the other networks and the success they were doing on video. So you mentioned surface, and they mentioned in that press release that they're going to, what does that mean? Like they're going to surface stuff. Does that just mean they're going to serve up more shoppable pins, or what does that mean in that press release?
Yeah, I think that the perfect example is, again, those product tags. So a shopping surface area where they are kind of highlighting things you can actually buy by putting a link on it from images. So that can happen automatically. You can do it yourself. There are also product pins that will allow you to create like a collection with that photo that you have. So just creating more ways that encourage people to buy. And what I'm seeing for those is that when Pinterest does it themselves, it seems to be all verified merchants. So that's a process you go through after you set up your product feed, and then you can apply for a verified merchant status that will get you on more of those shopping surfaces, which I think they said something like in the last several months, the activity on those shopping surfaces has grown like 80% or something. It's crazy high, and I'm sure they'll be finding more ways to take advantage of that.
So let's just put on your like prediction hat and open your crystal ball. I know it's right on the side of your desk. You can just pick it up. But what would you say in what shopping will look like in the start of 2022? What do you think will change between now and then?
I would guess that it will be easier for more people to hook up their stores to these product feeds. Right now, it can be a little bit challenging if you're not on Shopify, but I would guess that they're gonna make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, we always get that question because it hasn't come to a lot of places yet. And so Sally, who I know is in the UK, she says the Shopify integration is in the USA and Canada right now. So yeah. I know there's a lot of UK users who are really wishing they could have that because it is really nice integration, makes it really easy with your shop. And that's why I don't think, one of the questions we asked earlier was like, are they going to have it so you can shop directly on Pinterest? That opens a lot of headaches for Pinterest. opening it up for
Yeah.
third parties to be able to use their platforms, or if you have a WooCommerce site that you can just use yours. That way Pinterest can still sell ads and make money that way and do all that kind of stuff. But they don't have to worry about the headache of getting all the, receiving money, doing returns, processing payments, all that stuff. It can happen on these other people. So I have a feeling if they'll do that as long as possible, or until they figure out a way to make money easily with it. So that's just me. So this has been a great show. You guys have asked some great questions, a lot of comments today, even we had a bunch of people who are watching over on Amazon Live. Hello to all you guys. But before we wrap things up, I want to give Elisa a chance to talk about where people can find out her, what she does at Tailwind, the things coming up. So Elisa, the floor is now yours.
Oh boy. I guess my encouragement would be, if you're curious about how to make creating new images for Pinterest easier, go to tailwindapp.com/create. You can get a trial of Tailwind with no credit card required, which is 100 scheduled pins or 30 scheduled Instagram posts. But the really cool part about that is that you will get 15 images you can make with Tailwind Create for free every month forever.
Yes.
So go do it. It's really, I'm biased, I know, but it's really fun to put in your URL, let the program pull up pictures from your website or add your own pictures, and then hit that button. And it's like magic happens. You just see this endless stream of really cool pins that you can just tweak a little bit, maybe change the text if you want to, and then schedule. Oh,
Yeah.
Sally thinks it's cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Sally.
Sally.
So make sure you guys go follow Elisa everywhere. You can find her all across the socials on LinkedIn. She does some great trainings over on Tailwind's Facebook page. I show up there sometimes too, because I just leave the door open and I can walk right in. But make sure you go check it out, because she does share a lot of great content over there. There's no bouncers. They're going to fix that, I'm sure. But anyway, also my pal Grace. Grace, what's going on with you? Where can people find out more about the awesome Grace Duffy?
Well, you can find me here every week hosting the show with the awesome Jeff C. If you want to find out more about Restream, check out our YouTube, Facebook, and our LinkedIn. We produce a whole slew of content every single day on how to use the tool, how to create awesome live videos, how to market your live videos, everything you need. So check us out there. You can find me, if you want to find me, you can find me on LinkedIn. So that's where I've been trying to ramp up my efforts to meet people. And I've already made a lot of connections with a lot of our audience members there. So that's a good place to find me. And then, of course, Jeff, tell us the other thing we have going on.
So
this
by
isn't
the
just
way,
a live show.
Yeah, this is also a podcast. And so we would love it if you guys would go and follow us and leave a rating and review. You can find us at socialmedianewslive.com, and we've made it super simple that you can follow us on all your favorite podcast players, and we would love for you guys to do that so we can get the show out to more people. Our next show, by the way, is on Friday, March 19th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central. I don't know why I read that way, but I did. So, but I was very exciting. Next week, this is why I'm so excited. Our special guest is going to be Mark Schaefer, and we're going to be talking about his new book, The Cumulative Advantage: How to Build Momentum for Your Ideas, Business, and Life Against All Odds. It's an incredible book. I read it in like a weekend. I know Elisa's a big fan. She usually gets mentioned in his books. I don't know how she does that, but she does. But you can also find all of us at Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, Amazon Live. Thanks, Elisa, for being here today. Thank you for the audience. This is so great. Sally, thank you so much. Said thanks, really useful as always. And Sophia says, I love Tailwind Create too. You guys are awesome. We will see you next week with Mark Schaefer. See you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye everyone.
And I turned off the podcast machine. So that's it. You guys are awesome.
Woo.
So Sally is still raving about Create.
Aww.
So yeah, she loves it.
That's so cool. Let me get a screenshot of that so I can post it in Tailwind.
Okay, yeah. Get me some tacos, by the way. That's how they reward each other at Tailwind. They give each other tacos. So
that's awesome.
It's so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We have a question here.
Okay.
Oh no, go ahead. Tell me about
I
these
was just gonna
tacos.
say,
I've got distracted.
Yeah, this is cool. So it's in Slack. We have a channel called Kudos, And if someone does something good, you mention them, give a taco, and say what they did so that everyone knows how awesome they are. And then you can use the tacos for things like a virtual coffee with friends or to send a gift to somebody at work. Like you can use them as money. Like if someone has a baby, we'll do like, anyone want to give tacos? And we'll just like get them really cool baby presents.
And that's so cool. Yeah. The things you can do virtually.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? There's a comment you had?
Yeah, no, there's a question from Mark here. He says, are there any social media groups that if people are looking to ramp up their Pinterest activity where they can collaborate with other pinners like them? Do you know of any groups that they can join or places they can congregate and pin together?
No, don't do it. Use Tailwind communities.
Yes. So it's built into Tailwind. It's really, really cool. Tailwind has some of their own, and they're kind of like group boards on steroids. That's how I always would call the Tailwind community. So you need to go check those out. So if you're not, you can go do that trial. I brought up the URL where you can go there and you can do a free trial of Tailwind. You can look and see what communities are like, Mark, and check it out. But it's really, really cool. So you can probably find a niche that you can kind of build each other up on. So it's really, really fun.
Yeah. And I want to clarify why I was like, don't do it. So a lot of times people want to know, how do I join a group board on Pinterest to get more distribution for my content? They don't work that way anymore.
No.
They de-emphasize
that is.
Yeah. So if you're looking to really interact with people, maybe you'll find an active group board, but you're more likely to find an active community.
Yeah, I think his question was more about, because he said social media groups. So I think what he meant was like a community where, because we're part of several. Jeff and I are part of several live video communities, and content creator communities where it's just been we talked about Rob's group last week, how great it is. So something like that probably.
And if you haven't followed Tailwind's Facebook page, they do a lot of stuff in there. So they have a lot of good. They put their webinars in there, and we just had on our show last week a authentic Pinterest ad rep, and you guys were able to ask questions over there, and so we get stuff like that. So make sure you go over and check their Facebook page. With that, folks, that's our time.
The social media news live. Go on that page.
That's right, exactly. So thank you guys for your time today. I know your time is valuable. Thank you for spending this hour with us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.